afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. It is Sunday, May 18th, and you know what that means. It's time for the High Risk Wrestling Podcast. Sorry I didn't record last night. It's been a busy weekend and week, but check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, and of course the 215 on Twitter. I am your host, ready to bet everything. Maybe I'm going all in, maybe I'm going all out, but it's almost time for Double or Nothing. It's me, Jeremy Pierce. Welcome one and all. On today's show, a WWE focused edition of the Champion or the Championship. Once again, we got to look at this fervor of what truly makes the championship. Is it the man or is the title? Like this symbiotic relationship. It's gonna be an interesting conversation we have today. But for now, you know what's next, so just go on and hit my music. All right, champion. Who are the top champions today? This was a really hard list, but the top three is very easy. We start with number 5, Obafemi. This man is the current NXT champion, and he has been absolutely fantastic. Going from the North American Championship to the NXT champion has really elevated Obafemi. He has become a top challenger, focused opponent. Doesn't matter who he's facing. Number 4, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. Now, there are a few people I could put on this list above them over in TNA, like Moose, like Masha, but Liv and Raquel have just been absolutely fantastic as the Women's Tag Team Champions. More so Liv Morgan. I believe she has a record 4 title reigns, and 3 of them have been with Raquel. My mistake. All 4 of her title reigns have been with Raquel. Raquel is a 5-time tag team champion. So these two know what the division is all about. They have really elevated that division. They have really just become the top team in the division over other teams. They have been absolutely fantastic, and it's going to be hard to get the belts off of them. Number 3, Timeless Toni Storm, the whore you adore. She is everything you want. Can cut promos, can go in the ring, can go serious, can go funny. She's almost the perfect champion. She's just been this breath of fresh air for all of women's professional wrestling, and it's just exciting whenever she is on TV. Number 2, Athena, the forever champion. This lady just doesn't lose, and even though she is a little bit out of the spotlight, trust me, ladies and gentlemen, she will be back sooner rather than later. She has been the Ring of Honor Women's Champion for a record-setting 885 days and counting. She has one of, if not the longest reign as a champion in the modern era. And she is not stopping. Every time we think she's going to lose, she doesn't lose, and she just keeps going. And first, number 1, Mercedes Moné, CEO, and she is on this list. She is number 1 only because she defeated Athena to reach the finals of the Owen Hart Cup. Athena could be number 1, but Mercedes has been the champion since winning the belt from Willow Nightingale, and has put on banger after banger since winning that championship. So whoever takes the title from her will be a made woman. Same thing goes for Athena. I am looking forward to number 1 and number 2 on this list battling once again. We'll be right back. The spotlight is back, it's bright, and it's shining on Michin, the former Mia Yim, the former Jade. Surprisingly survived a round of talent cuts, and I want to see her succeed. I think a lot of us want to see her succeed. She has a great look. She's good on the mic. She's great in the ring, bringing a different, rough, street-based fighting style to the women's division, which is not really something that has happened in a very, very long time. She was just recently in a number one contenders match where she absolutely dominated, but something isn't clicking. I go all the way back to her time in the Mae Young Classic when after her match, fans were chanting, "Sign Mia." They were chanting, "Sign Mia." And they signed her, and then they cut her, and then they signed her again. So they see something in her. I see something in her. She is an absolutely amazing talent, and I think with the inclusion of these women's mid-card championships, she can finally win a belt, because she hasn't won anything in the WWE, and I want that to change. There is time, there's opportunity, but a lot of things have to change in the WWE. But Mia Yim is someone who can help usher in new fans, new matches, new opponents. What will the WWE do? We'll be right back. The champ or the championship? This is a question that arises every so often in professional wrestling. It's worded every so often differently. What makes the championship the man, or the title? What does the title make the man? Does the man make the title? And again, it always comes back down to your booking. But let's put the booking aside and just look at everything in kind of a kayfabe sort of way. And this episode is really going to be WWE focused, okay? So WWE has a plethora of championships right now. On the main roster alone, they have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 championships. I am not including the Speed Championship. Nobody cares about that. So on the main roster alone, they have 11 championships, right? On NXT, they have 6 championships. And that's you would think that's a lot, but when you look at the focus on everything, right, it's fine. So who are the champions kind of with some heat on them as their reign has started to come into question, and their challengers, and how will things eventually play out? And we've got 4 of them, right? So one, we have Jey Uso. This started immediately when Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble. Immediately. So, right, they were clearly going to strap a rocket on Jey, whether it be through the Royal Rumble or later in the year with Money in the Bank. Something was going to give, right? But Jey Uso went around and won the Royal Rumble. He then went on to go to WrestleMania and defeat Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship and make Gunther tap out. So we go from Seth to Drew to Damian to Gunther to Jey Uso, right? So you go, well, look at that lineage. There was always a time, especially early on during the brand split, where one championship always felt more important than the other one, right? When the big gold belt was brought back, right, and Triple H had his reign of terror going on, his championship always felt more important than the Undisputed Championship, even though they had Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle and Big Show winning that belt, right? And then whatever championship John Cena had always felt more important. So here we are with Jey Uso. He's your current World Heavyweight Champion. John Cena's your current WWE Champion. So what feels more important, right? Jey needs challengers, right? And his first challenge, he already had his first title defense, defending against Seth Rollins. And we're going to get back into a little bit of the past failures with the World Heavyweight Championship. But Jey had a championship, right? And he fought for the title before. He fought Gunther. He fought Damian Priest and acquitted himself very, very well. So now it's like, how does his reign go? Because you have to book him correctly, right? You have to book him strongly. And then you have our current Women's United States champion, Zelina Vega, winning her first major singles championship. She is a former tag team champion. So we've only had 2 United States champions, Chelsea Green and now Zelina Vega. And it felt right with Chelsea Green. Even when the championship got announced, it's like, okay, it's probably going to go to Chelsea Green. And Zelina defeats her. So it's like, how does Zelina's reign feel? She defeated a very game Chelsea Green, who, did she really elevate that championship? And then you have Lyra Valkyria, the first ever women's intercontinental champion. And she's had challengers. And now she's in the middle of a feud right now against Becky Lynch. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Don't worry about that, ladies and gentlemen. So they clearly saw faith in her, and there were a plethora of women that they could have put both of these belts on, right? Michin, Jade Cargill, Naomi, Bayley. Bayley just felt kind of right about the especially with the Intercontinental champ, because it's Bayley, you know what I mean? And then lastly, Hank and Tank in NXT, ending the amazing reign of Fraxium, who got caught up to the main roster. How do they go about? Because Fraxium was a great tag team. They were great champions and defended those belts all the time and elevated everybody. So now it's like, well, Hank and Tank have been kind of just lovable losers, and now they have the belt. So how do you feel about that championship? Did the championship get downgraded going from Fraxium to Hank and Tank? You know what I mean? Because remember when the B team won the tag team titles? How'd you feel about that? So now we have these champions who you're questioning their reign. Is it because of the importance of the championship, or is it because of the way they've been booked? So what's more important, the champion or the championship? Let's start with the champion, and let's break down what it is really. So John Cena officially has, quote unquote, the record for most world championships at 17. He's your current undisputed WWE champion. He already has had his first title defense. Now, this is the legendary WWE Championship. This is the legendary, the one that goes all the way back to Bruno Sammartino, with many a legend and Hall of Famer holding his belt. So it doesn't matter that John Cena holds his belt. It matters that he's the 17th, number 17 on his record, but it's not getting downgraded. You know what I mean? It's his final time as champion. So now we're on that point of his career where that title can be elevated. We're on that point where he took it from Cody. So our next step is finding out who takes the belt from him, because, ladies and gentlemen, whoever takes the championship off of him will be a made man. Whoever defeats him and gets the rub will be set. And here's the really important thing. John Cena is already a made man. So is he really making the championship? Is he really elevating anything? So now it's all about the challengers that he will be facing. It's all about everything that will come afterwards. So John Cena doesn't need to make the belt. He's already a made man. But then you look at our current feud over the Women's Intercontinental Championship, Lyra Valkyria, our current champion, and Becky Lynch, her current challenger, because it is not, I repeat, it is not over between them two. So what's going to happen? Well, Lyra Valkyria won the title. She's the first ever champion. And then we look at everything. So what follows? They're clearly going to use Lyra to elevate this championship. They're using Becky to elevate it more. But see, here's the thing. When the WWE had the opportunity to have your first ever women's Intercontinental and United States champions defend their belts at WrestleMania for the very first time, they didn't do it. Lyra got pigeonholed into a tag team match, and Chelsea Green wasn't even on the card. So right there, it shows you how much they value the championship. Now, mind you, WWE was going to say, well, we were happy with our card and there just wasn't enough time. That is bullshit. You had time to get Becky Lynch on the card, who wasn't even there for almost a year. You could have had Becky return earlier, after the Rumble, at the Chamber, whatever, and build up to Lyra versus Becky. That match alone would have elevated the belt, because it's Lyra, who's already gotten a rub once from Becky, and then it's Becky Lynch, one of the GOATs. But you chose not to do that. So now you're using Becky Lynch to elevate this championship because you failed once already. You already failed once. And then we get to Zelina Vega. Never won a championship. And here she is defeating Chelsea Green. So what follows? What's next? What is your goal? What are you trying to do? Right? Because you clearly saw something enough in her to not only remove Zelina from the LWO, which never made sense, and now she's flying solo on SmackDown. You know what would have helped qualify her as a bigger champion? Having her be in the LWO and winning the title. But you're gonna say, well, she was never going to beat Lyra. Then move the LWO to SmackDown. See, WWE does this thing where they don't really think ahead. And now Lyra doesn't get on the card. Zelina is here, and they're gonna do their best to make her into a credible champion. But if you go and look on the SmackDown roster, we look at the women's side of things, you have a lot of credible contenders. You have Alba Fire, former world champion. You have Alexa Bliss, former world champion. You have Chelsea Green, former champion. You have Julia, former world champion. You have Naomi, former champion. Nikki Cross, Nia Jax, former champion. Tiffany Stratton, current champion. So she's kind of behind this spot of, well, is it believable she can win? Is it believable she can be, a dominant champion? A credible champion? Is, when her reign is up, has the United States Championship been elevated? And then we look at the championship, right? The current Intercontinental Champion on the men's side of things is Dominic Mysterio. See, now we're in this conundrum of, we know the legacy of the Intercontinental Championship. We know how important it is. We know its brilliance. So has the championship been devalued because it's being held by Dominic Mysterio? See, I would say no, because Dom is over and it fits into him. It fits what he does. And then you look at the current WWE Women's Champion, and that is Tiffany Stratton. And that championship, again, look at who's held the belt and look where it is now. You have these two titles that have importance. You have these two titles that have meaning. So do you say, well, are they devalued because of who holds them? Tiffany Stratton was always going to be a world champion. That was never in doubt. Ever in doubt. But here they are as champions. So ultimately, it comes down to, how do you feel about them? Right? And the booking that goes about it. Because the WWE has failed. They have failed champions. They have failed championships. Let's go back to when the new World Heavyweight Championship was coming about. Finals of Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. Either man would have been fine for the job. They went with Seth. I have no issue with that. I would have went with AJ. But Seth is a good first choice. Seth defends that belt and he does great with it. It's already elevated because it's Seth Rollins. Just like how I felt when they announced the Intercontinental Championship. I was like, okay, Bayley. The belt immediately becomes important because you put it on Bayley. So they have this championship on Seth, and by the end of the year, after he's established as champion, how does his next contender come about? He feuds with Shinsuke Nakamura. If you always plan for Seth, and now here's the thing, I actually, you know what? I don't believe they planned for Seth to lose the belt at WrestleMania. I thought, I really think they wanted to go with him versus Punk. Well, Punk's hurt. You failed Shinsuke Nakamura once already after he won the Royal Rumble and didn't defeat AJ Styles at WrestleMania, right? Shinsuke dominated that feud versus Seth. And I always believe you can have a 3-4 month title reign and then go back. We're going to talk about this one more time. Shinsuke lost every single match, but always got the better of Seth on TV. And then their final match, the last man standing match, Shinsuke dominated. And I'm like, okay, this is good. This is really, really good. Shinsuke's going to win. He can get maybe a 2-month reign, lose the belt at the Rumble. Hell, he can lose the belt at the Chamber. Seth can get it back maybe a week or two later and then go into Seth versus whoever at WrestleMania, right? No, they chose not to put the belt on Seth. Put the belt on Shinsuke. It just didn't make sense why they didn't do it. And then Charlotte Flair. We know the story with Charlotte Flair. We know the heat with Charlotte Flair. When you put a championship on her at this point, is it really elevated? Because she's been cashed in so many times with Money in the Bank. She's already a 14-time world champion. So what does winning another championship for her mean? They tried doing it with the NXT Women's Championship when she won the Royal Rumble. She defeated Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, and the belt got devalued because they just booked her to be dominant over the NXT Women's division. It took a long time for not only the NXT Women's division to recover, but for Rhea Ripley to recover, right? But on that opposite end, they had Becky Lynch within the last year or two win the Women's Championship from Lyra Valkyria. So Becky becomes a Grand Slam champion, and then Lyra defeats Becky for the belt. So now Lyra's reign becomes solidified. She goes on to defeat Becky. She gets the rub, and the belt feels more important now because Becky had never won the NXT Women's Championship, so that was a good story there. And then lastly, I think where they ultimately failed was with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens should have defeated Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship at some point last year. At some point. He was not wrong in what he said. He was not wrong in anything. Okay, yeah, you're going to say, hey, they wanted Cody to have a long reign. That's fine. He won the belt at WrestleMania. I didn't think Cody would hold the belt all the way up until WrestleMania of the following year. Because Kevin Owens wasn't wrong. You could have had KO win at SummerSlam. KO could have held the belt up until probably the Royal Rumble and that TLC match. And you would have given KO a 4 or 5 month reign. It would have felt great because KO was justified in his feelings and he's justifying the championship. He's justifying taking the title from Cody. And then you failed Kevin Owens. And he comes out of that feud a loser. Kevin Owens was a loser in that feud. So you didn't use the championship to make the man. Because by putting the title on KO, you would have solidified KO even more than he already is. And they failed. So, did we answer the question today? The championship or the champion? Does the man make the title or does the title make the man? I don't know. But I hope I open up your eyes to just a little bit more for a good discussion. But that is our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, and of course the 215 on Twitter. Look on the screen what we got coming up for the rest of the week and the month. And as always, Willow Nightingale, Chris Statlander, Anna J, Isla Dawn, Gigi Dolan, and Bailey. Oh, I'm sorry, Priscilla Kelly and Bailey. Holla at you, boy. Peace.